Greetings, comrades. We hope you are okay wherever you are. We are in the office and we have so many people that are assisting with the victims of the fire disaster that happened in central Johannesburg. As we said in the previous videos, that we are receiving donations. So if you hear some voices coming through, do not worry. It's people that work in the office. They are busy packaging the items for donation. So they are doing actually a great job. So we can't ask them to lower their voices, but we allow them to work so that they feel motivated. We're here to respond to your questions. Please write your question in the comment section so that you are able to assist. We've titled this video 28 2028 elections. What is to be done? We need to begin to discuss this question. What is it that needs to be done? Last night, I slept late. I had to go back to 2013 SADC summit in Maputo to read the SADC resolutions on Zimbabwe in that summit and submissions that were made by principals of the political parties that formed the inclusive government. And I noted that issues that were submitted by President Jacob Zuma at the time in 2013, media reforms and all these other issues are still sticking points uh, whenever we talk of holding elections. And we know that like we said previously, that we only talk about these issues just some months before an election. We do not talk about these issues 5 years before the election. We know that some still believe that there's going to be a rerun in the elections. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Well, if it happens, well, but I do not think it is going to happen. But of course, anything is possible in politics. But we do not think it's going to happen. But so this is why it's important that we must begin to have this conversation to say, if we are to have a credible election in Zimbabwe, what is it that we must do? So that's what we are discussing. But you are free to send questions, whether it's about documentation or any other question, then we'll be able to respond. Thanks, Comrade Loveness Dube, for joining us, and other comrades that have joined us. So, Comrade Imbizo Forum writes, says, Sele Dumele Dlula Vele. 20, 2023 election results. Next stop 2028. Whilst we are here, is it right for ZEC to receive funds from outside sources like the European Union to help run elections? First, Comrade Imbizo, in your first comment or question, one of these engagements should be a facilitated dialogue which will result in a government of national unity if we are to have a credible election in 2028. We do not believe that we will have an election before then. But like I said, that anything is possible in politics. People have taken office. They are producing their 5-year plan in terms of their program, their activities. So, yeah, I think let me agree with you that Seli Dumele Dlula. I have not started other electoral bodies in the continent or say in SADC on who funds them. Are they funded by governments only? For instance, South Africa is going to an election in 2024. The Independent Electoral Commission in South Africa is busy preparing for the elections. I am not sure who funds it, whether it is wholly government, whether European Union and the other international funders do fund the international these electoral bodies within the continent. Then we can have a conversation. It will assist us to do a proper analysis. Comrade Morrison Dube, thank you for joining. And yes, we are saying yes, we must talk about this. Ngabona ngabona abasasifuni lana. I saw you on ENCA. No thanks for watching that program, We in the Nation. It was an interesting program, but of course the challenge is that we didn't really have time to fully engage on the matter, as you saw in the program. But we hope that we will get time to be able to articulate our views. This is one of the reasons, again, why we are setting up these YouTube channels, TikTok, because if we were to wait for mainstream media to air our views on these various subjects, we might not get airtime for us to do so. So this is why we think it's important to have these platforms. And I was talking to the Zimbabwe Young Communist League comrades to say, I don't see them on TikTok. I don't see them on YouTube and other platforms. And it's a worry because we need to win the battle of ideas. We must occupy all these spaces. But I think the comrades will then be seen active on social media. Comrade Gary Twala writes, do you think TPF is relevant in today's political atmosphere, or is just wishful thinking by the Wanebus? TPF meaning the Patriotic Front. Any organization, Comrade Gary Twala, you'll agree with me, any organization, its character is defined by its activity. Or let me put it in the manner in which you posed your question. The relevance of an organization is based on its activities. So if TPF or any other political formation for that matter is engaged in political activities, then it is relevant. But if it is not engaged in political activities, it will not be relevant. Any political organization or any organization for that matter, for it to be relevant, it has to do practical work. In the Zimbabwe Communist Party, we talk of combining theory and the practice. And in one question which I was responding, used more literature for people to read. But we need practical work on the ground. So the relevance of an organization is defined by the work that it does or by the activities that it does. I hope I have answered you, Comrade Gary Twala. Comrade Valangebetshu Vimba Kambigwa says, what can Zimbabweans do in order to remove ZANU-PF from power? It's evident that voting has failed. Do you think ZANU-PF has the capability to revive Zimbabwe's economy? Was that the problem he had written in 2002, and what he wrote in some instances is still relevant today. The problem is that in Zimbabwe, we have identified ZANU-PF as a problem to an extent that we believe that removing ZANU-PF, if we remove ZANU-PF, all our problems will evaporate. That is not the case, right? Yes, we know that we need to remove ZANU-PF from power, but we are saying we must remove ZANUism, because ZANU-PF can change its name just as a ZANU-PF stands for, which in some cases manifests itself even in some opposition political formations, must be removed. We spoke in the last video about Idife. That is a cultist slogan. So when you want to remove ZANU-PF from power, hence we say ZANUism, you can't replace Idife with the Chamisa Chete Chete. It cannot be. You do not want to remove a party that has a strong individual and replace it with a party that is a strong individual. That to us, it doesn't add up. So you need to build strong institutions, not strong individuals. That's the ZANUism that must be removed. That the part must be supreme, and it should not be a one-person band. It must be collective. So if you remove Idife and you replace with a Chamisa Chetechet, then you'll have Chamisa, as we are seeing now happening, uh, imposing, directing their councillors to say, vote for this one. This one is the one who's going to be a mayor, deputy mayor, and so forth. And I saw some video where some were saying, no, it's wrong. So that's the problem that we have, comrade in Gambiwa. We must remove Zanuism as a political ideology in Zimbabwe. Build a strong institution, and we must walk the talk when we say the people shall govern. The people must be seen governing. It should not be the political elite that governs. That's what we need to do. And your second question, do you think ZANU-PF has the capability to revive Zimbabwe's economy? No, we do not believe in miracles. ZANU-PF will not rebuild the Zimbabwean economy. It has failed. It will not rebuild the Zimbabwean economy. And anyone who replaces ZANU-PF, let me underline this, anyone who replaces ZANU-PF, who believes in foreign direct investment, will not rebuild that economy. We have said you need national planning linked to devolution of power to the people. Anything with the FDI concepts which are being thrown around will not assist us. Comrade Alpheus Fuyana, I'm about to conclude. Comrade Alpheus Fuyana says, is it is it hopeless thinking to think Zambia and Zimbabwe's tiff can escalate to a friendly war? No, it's not going to happen. There's not going to be a war between them. Is not steeped in the tradition of the liberation movement. Then you have ZANU-PF. Let me for today not talk bad much about them, about their origins, but you have ZANU-PF, which has the traditions, its traditions in the liberation movement. So in terms of addressing or in terms of characterizing the challenges that we have, their analyses are different. They view the crisis that we are going through from different lenses. But that does not mean that you will have what you call a friendly war. In football, they say a friendly match. It is not going to happen. So there's a strong attempt, right, to say remove all liberation movements in the SADC region. They failed. Replace them with the pro-democracy movements. We should take over. So ZANU-PF then views Zambia under President HH as the champion of or as the leader of the pro-democracy movements in the region that seek to remove former liberation movements from power, right? But that will not lead to any friendly match, Comrade Alpheus Fuyana. What, of course, is missing uh, in this whole scenario, we communists take the blame because liberation movements, yes, have failed. Why are we saying liberation movements have failed? Before I give reasons why we're saying liberation movements have failed, liberation movements have failed, right? Pro-democracy movements will also fail. Why? Because we need to complete the liberation of Africa. In Zimbabwe, we need to complete our own liberation. The liberation movements have failed to complete our liberation. The pro-democracy movements are not interested in completing our liberation in Africa, right? So they are going to fail. because they are not going to place the economy in the hands of the people as a whole. When we talk of completing the liberation movement, we are talking of dismantling the neo-colonial state. In the morning, I recorded a video, which I'm sure some of you have seen, where I was borrowing from a discussion that was happening at the Communist University with respect to migration question. To say migration is a continuation of slavery. And Comrade Vising qualified this when he viewed the video that I had recorded, that the difference now is that the modern migration, I mean the modern slavery, is that the slaves, the modern slaves today, they do not need to be bundled in trucks or in ships. They actually pay for their trip to go and be enslaved, right? I know many of you here who are following this YouTube channel are contemplating going to Europe. You want to get sponsors that will sponsor you to go. Someone was asking me this morning to say, Comrade Mapena, I did my course on nursing. Can I get a sponsor to go to England? You want to buy air tickets and so forth and so forth. Comrade Dominic says, the modern slaves are paying for their trip to be enslaved, where you are paid a slave wage. You are no longer being forced to enslave. In the other video again, I was quoting Comrade Runyararo, we had written in our Telegram group, where we were saying, before you go, you need to do your research. Because they are told you are earning, I can't remember the figures, but they are in the video, where you think that you are going to earn 48,000 rands, and here in South Africa earning say 24,000 rands, and you think is double, thrice what you are earning, therefore you want to go. So I was listing then the expenses, the rentals and so forth. In Hillbrow, we divide in curtains. We use curtains to divide where we stay, right? That's a modern slavery. People that work as domestic workers, you work as a domestic worker, those that work what is called stay in, right? You are not allowed visitors. Your off day, you are off on a Saturday, but first in the morning, up to 10 o'clock, you have to wake up, clean the house, wara, before you are all, you are said to be off. Then in the evening, you have to come and sleep back in the house, right? And when you come to sleep back in the house, then you find there are visitors, and then you're asked to say, we know you're off, but can you assist? You have got visitors to assist us in the kitchen, whatever. You are not paid for that. That is modern slavery. Right. We will continue to engage on this, but let me stop here. There are other questions that you are going to find time to respond to. But otherwise, thank you so much for all of you that have joined us. Please like this video, subscribe to this YouTube channel. I am busy trying to develop a booklet for those that want to join in the campaign. Mkaba must fall. I'm sure you have seen the video where we talk of Mkaba must fall. Otherwise, goodbye.